Now, Mom James says in this interview, we look bad letting Tupac take off on Orlando, and it was several mob members there, right? And in Mom James' words, I quote, Trayvon punk ass to tell Tupac that's the one who took my chain. He's a coward. And he shouldn't have been on death row because of that. And he should have been dealt with for getting Tupac killed. And he shouldn't be here. And then he looked at the camera and said, yeah, I said your name, homeboy. Right? So not only did Mom James say that Trayvon Lane was a coward for going to Tupac and telling Tupac about Orlando, he's saying that Trayvon Lane should have got murked for getting Tupac murked. And then he says, I'm talking right after it happened, someone should have murked Trayvon. Why was Tupac sent to jump on Orlando? He didn't know him. He never laid eyes on Orlando a day in his life. He had no idea what a Compton Crip looked like. And then he says, Trayvon is trying to kill a theory by saying that he didn't say anything to Tupac. Now, this is all quotes coming from Mom James in the recent interview, right? He said that Trayvon is trying to kill the theory by saying that he never said anything to Tupac. Now, I'm going to tell you two things that I know for sure. William Lassane, Tupac's cousin, told me in the last 2 weeks that Trayvon Lane told him personally, only thing he said to Tupac is, that's him. So if Trayvon got this theory that he never said nothing to Tupac, and I think that Mom James was referring to Neckbone's Vlad interview, where he's saying that Trayvon was talking to somebody else and Pac just overheard it, right? Tupac cousin just told me in the last 2 weeks, and I got a memory like an elephant, that Trayvon told them, the family, told him personally, he said, that only thing I said to Tupac is, that's him. So when Mom James sit there and say that they trying to have this theory, Trayvon is trying to kill the theory by saying that he never said anything to Tupac. Well, I know that to be a lie, because not only did William Lassane tell me that Trayvon Lane told him personally that he went up to Tupac and said, that's him. And I'm asking William, that makes sense to you? That Pac, he go up to Pac and say, that's him? And I said, that's him what? He just said, that's him. I'm like, that makes sense to you? That's him? That's him what? That's him that stole my chain? That's him from the South Side? He just tell you that he said that's him, and you okay with that. And he told me, nah, man, you know they ain't had nothing to do with it. This, that. They ain't had nothing to do with it. He told you, he said to him, that's him. Now, do that make sense to anybody at all? That Trayvon could tell Tupac cousin William that, yo, the only thing that I said to Tupac is, that's him. And he took off, right? Now, when you listen to Mom James, right? And let me say this. That's a lie, right? And the reason I believe it's a lie, because not only did Williams say that Trayvon said uh, that he said something to Tupac, Suge told me that Trayvon went up to Tupac and said something to Tupac. So now that Marv James is telling it, that this theory of he never said nothing to Tupac, like he was talking to somebody else and Tupac overheard it and took off. They could just bury that, right? Because not only did Williams say that Trayvon told him that he told him that he said to Tupac, that's him. Suge also told me that Trayvon went up to Tupac and said something to Tupac, right? And I'll get back to what Suge said because I said that in the past, but I'll get back to it at the end of this to show you how this all is a setup, alleged, right? Now, Marv James says after that, now, if Trayvon is saying that he didn't say anything to Tupac, then why would Tupac just go and take off on a random person that took Trayvon's chain or tried to take Trayvon's chain, right? And we all know the chain never got took, right? Trayvon still got his chain today. K-Dub told you the chain never got took. And K-Dub told you the fight wasn't over a chain or a bounty, right? So Marv James says now if Trayvon is saying that he didn't say anything to Tupac, then why would Tupac just go and take off on a random person? A dude that he don't know, never seen a day before in his life. He just gonna run up on somebody that if he didn't say nothing to Tupac, Tupac just randomly just go run off on Trayvon and on Orlando and start swinging on him. So you got to know that's a lie, right? Now Marv James says Trayvon should have went and handled his business and the outcome would be totally different. Now that I agree with Marv James 100%, right? Because if Trayvon would have ran over to Orlando, the guy he knew already, because they both grew up and was friends in Long Beach, and they both was Long Beach Crips, because Reggie told you that as well, Reggie Wright Jr., that uh Trayvon is originally a Long Beach Crip, and Trayvon was a Long Beach Crip, or was a Crip that also stayed in Long Beach, and they knew each other from Long Beach. So if you listen to Marv James, and he said if Trayvon would have went and took off on Orlando and beat Orlando up, the outcome would be different, right? So why do you think he went over to Tupac and told Tupac that, right?